Despite the best efforts of Headlines Today and Aaj Tak's correspondents, key questions remained unanswered during the Salman, Kurshid and Kurshid press conference this afternoon. Let's take you through them one by one. Why a forged affidavit was submitted as the first line of defense without any verification. Why multiple UP officials have claimed that camps were not held. Why multiple UP officials have claimed that their signatures were forged. What about the allegedly fake letter written by a UP official on the 24th of March 2011 recommending further funds for the trust, whereas this official had actually retired in the month of January? Who sent the fake affidavit by the Chief Development Officer of Mainpuri, JB Singh, which was forwarded as proof by Salman Kurshid? I'll get you key excerpts from the Salman Kurshid press conference, but I want to go across now live to Arvind Kejriwal. He's joining us on this broadcast as we take up some of the points that Mr. Kurshid made in his defense. And key were the pictures of JB Singh that Salman Kurshid presented in his defense, saying here are the pictures, here is proof that the camp actually took place. Whereas that's not quite as simple as it seems, because he's completely referring to the wrong year, Mr. Kejriwal.
You see, the whole episode is for the financial year 2009-10. That is the year when he got the 71 lakh rupees for which this entire story is. And he presented a picture. That was the only evidence that he has presented in his entire 2 hours press conference. 2 pictures he presented in which he claims that JB Singh was present. And that camp actually took place. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello? That camp actually took place on 17th July 2010, which is the next financial year. So I think his lies have been nailed.
You know, I want to bring in Deepak Sharma as well as we speak to Arvind, because Deepak, you know, it became very personal, but the fact is that there was a lot of rhetoric, there was a lot of noise, there was no substance. As Arvind points out, the pictures that Salman Kurshid showed were from the wrong year.
Rahul, pictures, you know, they always tell the truth, but this time, picture is telling the lies. First of all, the checklist is the core evidence. Checklist is the core evidence that on which particular date the camp was held, and the ministry, the money from the union ministry is utilized. So the checklist is the core document, is the most important document. Now they have claimed in a forged affidavit of JB Singh that JB Singh signed the checklist. When we went to JB Singh, he said that I have given no affidavit, I have not signed on the checklist, I have not attended the camp. You can produce. So the thing is that JB Singh has denied all what they have shown today.
Arvind, also if you see the forged affidavits or the question of several of the signatures being forged of those UP officials, Mr. Kurshid didn't present us any defense. He said, yes, there might be a problem, that's a matter that needs to be investigated, but he didn't explain how his trust offered the India Today group a document which was an affidavit which turned out to be forged.
I completely agree. It was clear that he has no defense. It was almost that he was conceding that these documents are forged. It was appearing to people, I got several messages from across the country where people said that it was clear that Mr. Salman Kurshid was conceding that these signatures are forged and he had no defense. The only defense he had was that I'm prepared for investigation, investigations will take place. The most interesting thing is, he is saying that Mr. J.D. Singh signed an affidavit and he gave it to the government of Uttar Pradesh. How did government of Uttar Pradesh send it to Miss Louis? What is the relationship between government of Uttar Pradesh should officially send any document to government of India? What is the relationship between Louis and government of Uttar Pradesh? Louis is just a project director of an ordinary NGO. How can she request government of Uttar Pradesh to take an affidavit from one of their officers, and government of Uttar Pradesh immediately obliges? What kind of an independent inquiry can we expect from this government?
You know, Mr. Kurshid says he's open to any form of an inquiry, Arvind. Given the fact that he is the law minister, and given the fact that we saw this one person who was saying one thing to us on open camera today, saying a completely different thing when produced before his member of parliament from Farrukhabad, there would be concerns about whether an independent inquiry can happen while Mr. Kurshid remains the country's law minister.
This is exactly the point that we've been raising in our movement. That as long as he is the law minister, and not just law minister, if he remains outside, he is such a powerful congressman that he will be able to influence the investigations, tamper with the evidence, and he will also be able to influence the witnesses. Therefore, it's extremely important that he resigns and he is also arrested if we want to do an honest investigation.
You know, one of the things he keeps referring to is his legacy as Zakir Husain's grandson. Also the fact that I've been to Oxford, I've taught law at Oxford, would I be so silly to try and do this at my own constituency? So he's really, counting on the pedigree and the legacy that he brings to his portfolio as one of his strong points of defense.
But that's immaterial. How is it material? He says, I am such a respected person in Oxford, but unfortunately he's not so respected in India.
What is it, Arvind, that you intend to do from here? Because he's made it very personal. He's called you gutter snipes, third-rate people out on the streets, not worth responding to. How do you intend to take this battle from here? Because Mr. Kurshid has made it clear that he doesn't believe there is any reason for him to step down.
Rahul, I think he stands completely exposed before the people of this country. Congress stands completely exposed by standing behind him and fully supporting him. The government stands completely exposed. Dr. Manmohan Singh stands completely exposed. I think to a great sense, to a great extent, our objective has been achieved. Now, he presented one person, Rangi Mistry, today. And as you're saying that on your channel, Rangi Mistry said one thing and today he said another thing. To counter that, we will present a counter evidence tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And after that, we'll take a call as to what shape our movement should take after that.
Because, given the fact that he's the law minister and these are people from his constituency and the manner in which they were brought, that really throws up very serious questions of whether whatever it is that they're saying now is being said under duress, because he's now threatening to do some form of a counter sting operation, which is all fine, except that we don't quite know what are the circumstances under which these people will be making the comments that will now be extracted from them.
It's very clear from his body language and his language also. The way he's conducting himself. As he rightly said, marta kya na karta. He'll do everything possible. He'll influence the witnesses, he'll intimidate them, he'll tamper with the evidence to save himself. And therefore it's extremely important, if we want honest investigation, he has to be immediately arrested.
The other key point is that he's saying that the economic offences wing of the Uttar Pradesh government has ordered a probe. But what Mr. Kurshid does not say is that that letter which Louis Kurshid wrote to the UP government was actually written after our team approached Louis Kurshid with the documents that we had. It's only after that that this was written. This is happening since 2009, 2010. If it was so simple, this probe could have been asked for by the Zakir Hussain Trust 24 months before this.
Right, that is true. In fact, after the report that was sent by Uttar Pradesh government to the central government, that was on 12th June 2012. The central government sent a show cause notice to her on 3rd July. She was given 15 days time. She did not respond to that. At that point also she could have gone to Mr. Akhilesh Yadav and said that why don't you do a thorough investigation? And investigations have already taken place, because 12th June is a report of report is a report of Akhilesh Yadav government. What more inquiries are required? Now one suspects that the latest inquiries would be meant to whitewash the earlier report.
Mr. Kejriwal, here's a question to you. You have been an Indian Revenue Service officer. On 24th of March 2011, Mr. Ram Raj Singh Yadav, he signs a letter, sends it to the government of India, says release the fund of 68 lakhs. Now there's a whole lot of people, the under secretary, the joint secretary, the additional secretary, the secretary, there's a finance advisor in the ministry. They don't cross-check with the UP government, and they just release 68 lakhs to the State Bank of India. Farooqabad, I've gone to that bank, and within 15 days, the money is siphoned off. I've also got that evidence also. Don't you think that right from the undersecretary to the secretary, there are 6-7 layers of officers. Were they not responsible? It's so easy to get the amount on a fake letter.
By an officer who's retired. He retired in January. He's writing this letter in March, on the basis of which the Zakir Hussain Trust gets the money. That's the most intriguing part. Arvind.
It's very interesting. Actually, in the morning, our entire team was sitting and we were discussing how this letter would have been dispatched and how this letter would have been received. This is a forged letter. It actually does not exist because the concerned officer has already retired, which means that this letter would not exist in the records of Uttar Pradesh government because no such letter was actually written and signed. This letter has been prepared in Mr. Kurshid's office, and perhaps it was physically carried by Mrs. Louis Kurshid and presented to the Government of India. In Government of India, because some minister's wife is bringing the letter, I think no cross-checking was done and the file moved at very fast pace.
Mr. Kejriwal, one more question. There were three very pertinent questions today, very important. One was the fake forged affidavit of Mr. J.B. Singh sent to us by Miss Louis. Second is the letter of the 24th March 2011 on which basis, the grant was released. And third is the letter of UP government, the inquiry which says that in 10 districts there have been 44 signatures of the officers. Now on these three questions, Mr. Salman Kurshid has said, no, UP government will do. We have written a letter to Akhilesh Yadav. Now the more pertinent, more important questions, they will be addressed by Akhilesh Yadav. Do you think that it will be fair inquiry done by Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, seeing the present set of politics going on in the center, where they require support of people for the MPs?
That is exactly what we are saying. You see, the honest inquiry has already taken place. And the inquiry report was already sent by Uttar Pradesh government on 12th of June, in which they have clearly said that the signatures have been forged, no camps took place, the material was never distributed. That is the honest report that has been done. What will be done now is it will be a cover-up operation. All the officers would be intimidated. Incidentally, I spoke to one of the officers today on phone. He was so scared. He said, just please keep me out. I can't remember anything. I don't have any memory. This is going to happen in the next few days.
One more question
has already started.
Mr. Kejriwal, one more question. A case is going against Akhilesh and Mulayam Singh Yadav. It's being invested and prosecuted by CBI. Now the prosecution wing of the CBI comes under the law minister. Your answer on this?
So this is a direct conflict of interest. I completely agree. Salman Kurshid, being the minister in charge of prosecution wing of CBI, can easily let off Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav. And in turn, Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav can let off Mr. Salman Kurshid. It's a direct quid pro quo.
You're saying it's a direct quid pro quo.
Hello?
Salman Kurshid finds nothing wrong with the current arrangement. We don't want to take sides. We leave it to our viewers to decide where they stand. I'm going to thank Arvind Kejriwal for joining us. 11 o'clock, he says, is when he'll have a point-by-point rebuttal to all the points that have been made by Salman Kurshid in that press conference. Arvind Kejriwal, thank you very much.